Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 3 of the official Salad Bowl podcast. This podcast that mixes everything you love and know into a bowl, mixes it up with some ranch and salad, and calls it a podcast. I'm your host, Carcass, and today I'm joined by Shut Up, by Jabberjaws and Scararity.
Hello.
Can you say hi, gentlemen?
Hello.
You mix random things up and then you put the salad in the bowl?
It's random. We're mixing random topics apparently.
All right, guys. It is Spooktober. In the making of this video, it is officially Spooktober. I love Spooktober because scary things make my dick tickle. Now, in honor of Spooktober, we're gonna be on r/no sleep, a scary stories subreddit where they read scary stories. And what will be happening is we're all gonna read scary stories, starting with me, Scararity, Jabberjaws, so on and so forth until we feel like we're done. We're gonna read them, we're gonna react to them, discuss a little bit, and then we're gonna go on to the next one. All right. Is everyone okay?
Nice.
Is everyone clear on this? Editor, are you okay with this? Okay, cool. All right.
You are the editor.
Shh, he doesn't know that. I don't like to
He
tell
doesn't
the
know
editor of my sins.
They're not supposed to know.
They're not supposed to know. All right,
I need
so
to
this
find
first
this
one
photo.
is called I Went to IKEA and It Broke My Marriage.
It broke my marriage?
Yes.
Broken.
Nice.
Am I in top posts? I am in top posts. Why can I not find? Oh,
You have something
Sorry.
to add, Watermelon?
no, sorry.
All right, the floor is mine. Are you guys ready?
Oh.
Bruh.
IKEA's motto is for all the people, and I found out why that is. Oh, look at that one. Someone's echoing. Watermelon. Your
Am I?
sins.
Sorry.
You're echoing.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call now.
Oh my. All right, he's banned. He's banned.
Bruh.
All right, guys, so we're on recess because fucking Seth. While we're waiting, what color should my PC be, Scararity? I got light green. No, I've got green, what is supposed to be light green, but ends up being sky blue. And then I have teal, then I have sky blue, and then I have dark blue, and then I have another sky blue. I've got 3 sky blues here, or 2 sky blues. I've got red, lemon.
I'm confused. What are we talking about?
We're talking about the color of my PC.
The fuck?
Because I can change the colors. What should my color be?
I don't know.
Nathan, black's not a fucking color. All right, we're gonna go with orange.
Black. Nice.
We're gonna go with orange.
Make it all hot pink.
I can make it hot pink. All right, it's pink now.
Nice.
It's not hot pink, but it's pink. Because
Nice.
there's no hot pink setting. Well, actually, I bet I can turn down the color and make it look hot.
I mean, hot pink's just brighter fucking pink, so.
It's pretty bright. Big brain. Where did he go?
Okay, class, today we're going to Bangladesh. Kid named Ladesh.
Kid named Bang.
See, those are old and fucking stupid.
Those are classic play on words. I love how this video hasn't
like
officially
they were
started
originally
yet.
good, and then it just got bad.
And then it just got bad.
The fuck is that? What are they? Is
It's the car parade and the bonfires that Donnie and I told you about.
oh
Look at that.
that's a little fucking crazy. What the fuck?
Oh my god. Where did he go? Where did he
Bruh,
go?
I don't want to go to Glasgow now.
Why don't you want to go to Glasgow, huh?
Because they apparently have this tradition where it's a bonfire, but I expected, like a bonfire,
No,
you
they
know.
just burn children.
But this bonfire almost looks cultish.
Yes, like the Burning Man.
Like they have like piles and piles of crates and shit. It almost look and then fucking like it looks like something you'd see out of Outlast, to be honest. I'm like, what the fuck?
Shit, there's a knife in the background. Get that out of here. I was taking a picture.
What? So what are you? What is your background?
My phone background?
Are you streaming this or
Oh, I'm
you're just recording it like a bitch?
oh, you want me to stream a podcast?
I don't know. I mean, you barely get people.
Yeah, but we gotta.
Baby, baby, baby.
People like podcasts. Okay, people like to do stuff and. I just posted that to my everybody story, so it doesn't agree.
Is someone talking?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, finally! Look who decided to be late.
Look, my mother just called me. I was supposed to be at her
Fuck your
place
mother.
today. I was supposed to be at her place today. And I wasn't, and now I feel bad.
Are Cheetos a dip?
Anyways.
Hold on a minute.
Aren't what?
Are Cheetos a dip? Bruh. Get
Alright.
that shit out of here.
Did you already read the story?
No.
Oh.
All right, please. So I begin. Oh, look at that one. Nancy tapped at the black marble worktop. I rested my arms on the handle of the trolley and glanced around bored. But she wasn't having any of it. Nancy walked around the counter and pulled open the dishwasher and to inspect inside. Double drawers, very convenient. We could use these little washes, you know, she said.
Rarity.
She said, flapping a Bangles hand in my what? Flapping a Bangles hand in my direction. I wasn't looking. Come on, love. British. We were only in here for a new coffee table, I grumped. It was late. Not many shoppers were around, but it didn't matter to me. The place was still a maze, even if the extra people weren't being pulled along like fish caught in a current. I would still get lost. Nancy, on the other hand, could have lived in IKEA, I thought, twisting my wrist to catch the time. 11:30 p.m. The store would be closing soon, hun. Nancy bobbed her head, bobbed up from expecting the oven.
I want to ask, is this this is fake, right?
I don't fucking know.
I don't think any of them says if they're true or not. They're just kind of stories.
All right.
The store will be closing soon. At this rate, we will be here until next week. Nancy flapped the bangled hand again. What does that mean? The rattle of golden tin echoed around the contours of the kitchen section. I pushed the cart forward and dragged along behind it. It was boring. The whole place. Nancy, the million fucking blue pencils that were everywhere. Ugh. I pulled the trolley over, my stomach muscles tightening against the strain of the against the strain of the trolley wheels waiting to be pulled into another direction. My left knee sprang with pain every step, trying to keep it on course. I think my mind was on the pain. That's why I didn't notice that Nancy was missing. Nancy? No answer. Just soft music playing
Nancy?
Shut the fuck up. Overhead. I stopped the trolley and double-backed. The squeaks of the wheels my only company. I stopped by the kitchens, but I still couldn't find my wife. Thinking she was drooling over the double dishwasher, I made my way around the countertop and stopped dead. Blood covered the sink, and protruding out the plug hole was a hand with a wrist full of bangles. What the? I pulled out. Wait. I pulled it out. It was Nancy's all right, but at the end, where it should have been blood, bone and muscle fibers was instead shaped like a puzzle piece. The skin smooth like a Barbie doll. I don't know why. I didn't know what to make of it. Was it a prank? Was my wife getting me back for an unknown reason? Was it a marketing stunt at IKEA? Nancy? No one answered. Not sure what to do, I placed the forearm and hand in the trolley and rolled into the next section. Pictures graced the walls in multicolored frames. Some had elegant artwork while others were Photos of busy cities and veranda of country hills. The wheels squeaked to a stop. I looked around dumbly. I was starting to worry about Nancy and the situation. It was like an episode of The Twilight Zone. My eyes traced the pictures to my left, running clockwise around the partition. Then I moved to the right, following the same pattern. I'd stopped halfway. A large 3D picture leaked blood down the wall. I drew closer, mesmerized, missing what was making the dark lines of blood. A juice fat leg from foot to thigh hung inside the picture frame. A colorful tribal butterfly tattooed on the thigh marked it as Nancy's. My hand shook as I took the picture down. My fingers trembled as I prized open the back and took the leg out. It had the same disfigurement as the arm, the puzzle-like groove, and the Allen key holes. What's happening? I placed the leg in the trolley and looked around for anyone. Hello? Is anybody in here? I turned and shouted the other way. Hey, what's going on? My shout died against silence and low music. Is this real? I muttered to myself. Launching the trolley forward, I dreaded the next section. Hold on. I don't know what it would be or what I would find. As the squeaky wheels announced my presence, the fragments of the room hit me in intoxicating waves. For a moment, I lost my fear to the sense. Green apple, vanilla, strawberry, every musky, poignant aroma my senses had ever smelt. I pushed forward, looking for what I knew I would find. I found in a large glass candle holder Nancy's other hand, her wedding ring sparkling like a beacon. Are we assembling a wife? I retrieved the arm and took off the ring to make sure it was hers. There's no mistaking the missing diamond she lost while doing the renovations on our in-suit. Fear gripped me fully then. It wasn't a game or a prank anymore. It was something I couldn't explain. But fear to the core of my soul, my wife was gone and had been taken to pieces. I raced to the next section. Lighting, lamps and bulbs, glass and LEDs. I frantically pulled out the displays looking for Nancy or whatever part I would find. From the corner, I noticed an orange glow hitting the ceiling. It made me swallow the bite rising... What? It made me swallow the bile in my right... It made me swallow the bile rising... I lost my spot. Rising in my throat. I crept forward, squinting through my lashes. What? Another of Nancy's legs held in a frilly 60s yellow lampshade. The painted red nails on her feet contrasted with the stainless steel silver base. I knocked the lampshade over, sending the bulb smashing to the floor. I raced back to the trolley, throwing the leg inside. How many sections are there? I thought as I charged through yet another section divider. I'm not sure if anyone knows the answer. Plants filled this room. Tall trees and ferns, potted sucker, orchards, grasses, and wildflowers. It was like a jungle inside a maze. It didn't take me long to find her nestled between the philodendrons. Nancy's torso sat on the floor in a row of plants. I tore the leaves spurting out of her neck hole and took her to the trolley. Her torso had dents where her joints should have been. Wide skin filled indents that allowed the other body parts to slip in to be screwed together. I swallowed, this growing gore and disgust. Dread had crept up and lodged itself fully in my throat. I could taste it, smell it, feel it choking me. There's only one part left to find. The plants gave away to the workshop floor. Hundreds of shelves lined in cardboard boxes ran the length and breadth of the warehouse, bottom to top, left to right. I pushed the loaded trolleys through. The squeak lost to the magnitude of space. What would it be? I asked the empty air. There isn't a map for this part, I guaranteed. I said, moving slowly from the path. As I rounded the corner of the checkout, I saw her. Nancy's head was presented in a glass box in the discounted section off the right of the
Oh, not the discounted section.
No! Her glassy stare looked through me. I tapped on the Perspex box and she blinked. Harry, what the hell? She gasped, and then she realized what she was. It's okay, I said, pulling the box off the shelves and placing it in the trolley. I'll have you back together in no time. Nancy complained as I rolled her through the checkout and out to the car. She complained all the way home and still complained now as I try to piece her together. The problem is she didn't come with instructions. You know, right now, with all the moaning. I don't think I want to put her back together, if you know what I mean. Not right now.
Oh God, that's
What?
awful. So obviously not real.
That was not what I expected.
What the fuck?
What is-
Oh, I understand the joke
what is wrong
now.
with that husband?
It
now
broke
you
my
get the joke?
marriage. Ha!
Oh, that joke. Oh, man, no. What is wrong with this husband? Like, he sees his wife disfigured, and he clearly knows this is her, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll just keep going through these aisles to see if I can find the rest of her."
Well, yeah, that's the most
What is-
reasonable thing to do.
This is obviously not real. And if you think it's real,
Stupid.
you're really dumb.
Alright.
Because heads can't live.
All right, rating out of 10. I like it. It was quirky. And
was
I
interesting.
liked the twist at the. I like how the story went. It wasn't that bad, but it also was kind of interesting to read. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Editor, put balloons on the screen.
I'm going to give it a harsh 6 out of 10.
Boo.
People, first off, this was a lot of repetition. It stayed in the same thing and never escalated until you saw the head, and people mistake gore for horror. Gore is not horror at all. Like it just kind of makes you go, "Oh God, that's freaky, that's gross." Like, but it doesn't make your skin crawl. It doesn't make you look behind your back to see if anyone's behind you. It just makes you go, "Ugh."
Bro,
So
imagine putting her legs on back.
I'll have to say I'm more of the moderate. It was I can see the repetitiveness of the story, but
Mhm.
you know, for a horror story, it was eh. I mean, it was quirky, like Marcus said. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm also going to change my Discord thing because I can barely hear you guys on my computer. So
And with a grand average rating of that right there on the screen. Thank you, editor, for doing.
it would
Wouldn't
be
it
7 out of
7?
10 would be the
Yeah.
average.
Yeah.
Alright, listen here.
You did 8 out of 10. He did 6 out of 10. The average would be 7 out of 10 because I said 7 out of 10. Good job, Marcus.
I told you you're the. I told you you're the most disorganized, disconnected person I've ever met. I'm choking on my own spit.
Alright, what's the next
I'm back.
the next story?
So this one is called "Don't Play the Game Called Sack of Knives."
Pull it up.
Can you guys hear me fine?
You're a little quiet.
You're a little quiet.
A little quiet.
So quiet.
Yeah, a little bit of tinny.
Opening up the link.
Marcus is also somewhat quiet.
Holy
That-
shit, this one is way longer than mine. Oh my god.
What's wrong,
Oh,
of course?
No, that's fine. Alright, ready?
Well, hang on. There's times I couldn't hear you. You're kind of quiet. Can you turn up your fucking sensitivity a little bit?
Ah.
There you go.
No, my mic was far away. You have to remember that I sit back
Oh
in my
yeah,
chair
can
to
you
speak.
please keep it like that? I could. All right.
you gotta get into it when you're reading.
So this one's called "Don't Play the Game Called Sack of Knives." It does have a self-harm warning though, so just keep that
Warning,
in
if
mind.
you don't like self-harm, don't be here.
Timestamp to skip.
Don't do time.
Well,
No,
no one,
timestamp
no one,
activated.
A lot of people do.
no one
time-
likes self
I
harm.
did timestamp. Editor, do
Anyways.
timestamp. Thank you.
The quote here is, "It knows what you hate, and it hates what you love."
Sexy.
Alrighty.
Mm.
I originally heard about Sack of Knives in one of my medieval literature texts. The class had sounded interesting out of my options that quarter, but 2 weeks in, I was already wishing I'd taken another round of poetry or creative writing. Part of it was the professor, who was chronically dry and boring as he gave a canned lecture he obviously regurgitated for the last 20 years. But most of it was the language itself. It was so archaic and hard to read, and I already knew I sucked at foreign language. Some of the books were quote unquote modernized, but most were just littered with footnotes and tiny block paragraphs longer than the text they were explaining. And of course, when I finally saw something that sounded cool, there were no notes to be found. It was in the middle of a story fragment about a village that fell under a curse of some kind. People were going crazy, maybe? Or their cows were all dying. Fuck if I know. The accompanying woodcut made it look bad, though. Still, it was kind of boring and dumb, and I was about to give up when a phrase caught my eye. If I wasn't wrong, it read as "stack of knives." Like I said, there was no footnote, and when I went to my index, the term wasn't listed. I looked on the internet, but there was nothing about it there either. My interest was already waning, but then an idea occurred to me. The professor of the class was always telling people to ask if we had any questions, be it after class or during student office hours. No way I was doing that, but maybe if I fired off a quick email asking about it, he would think I gave a shit about his stupid class. I wasn't a suck up, but I didn't mind a little padding in case I tanked on an essay at some point. So I looked up his faculty email and asked him what the term meant before putting away my books and heading off to Jeff's party. We good here?
Yeah, I'm just keep
Oh,
going.
someone left. I literally didn't think about it again that night. The party itself kind of sucked. It was one of those deals where there were too many people for it to be fun, so my little social circle wound up just hanging out together, even though it was my friends and Jeff and Madison's house. They were both grad students, and Jeff was in a pissy mood about his thesis getting shot down. This led to me and the others of our group taking turns bitching about people that were being assholes, bosses that were unfair, boyfriends and girlfriends that were unfaithful or controlling, parents and siblings that didn't understand our individual and collective plights. We were all drunk and only half serious as we took turns trying to melodramatically one up each other's woes. And by the end of the night, we were all so exhausted from laughing so much that I wound up falling asleep on the floor. When I got back to my dorm room the next morning, I saw I had an email. Greetings, Mr. Holden. So glad to see you take an interest in the peculiarities of our medieval friends from the distant past. The phrase you reference is actually quite interesting. It refers to an obscure pranking custom that was common in parts of Europe for a time. It went as follows. A group of friends or like-minded ne'er-do-wells would gather together and put names or given extremely low rates of literacy, other identifying marks or objects in a sack or satchel. Either way, the idea was that you were identifying a target for the prank, usually an enemy. Once everyone had put a person in the sack, you all drew one back out, your own excluded, of course. I say of course because the purpose of the sack of knives was to harass or even hurt someone you hated without it being tied to you personally. These were typically small communities where most everyone knew each other, and the risk of being seen and recognized while journeying to it or from breaking someone's fence or poisoning their feed was significantly higher than it would be today. If someone saw an enemy lurking around their property and suddenly their cow got out or their chickens died, well, it would immediately be suspicious. The sack of knives provided a measure of protection from such scrutiny, and generally it was limited to small pranks that wouldn't raise too much ire, which there would always be exceptions. Once the prankster finished some act against their target, they would go back to the sack, usually hidden in a place everyone in the game knew, and put a stick inside with a name or identifier tied to it. This symbolized the knife they used to kill their friend's enemy. The game
Jesus.
wasn't over until all the sticks and artifacts were in the sack. I believe there were variations of the rules over the years, but generally no winner was ever specified. I suppose their indirect revenge against those they hated was reward enough. I thought about responding back, but decided against it. It was cool of him to respond so quick, but there was a difference between getting some brownie points and becoming pen pals with a lit super nerd. Laughing at the idea, I closed my laptop and got ready for work. It was a week later when I mentioned the sack of knives to Jeff and Madison over dinner. I'd brought it up as a funny story, but the more I described the email, the more interested they became. Before I knew it, they'd call up Paul and Allison, two of our other friends who, based on the earlier party conversation, had clear axes to grind with someone. They brought along their friend Marty, who had just been fired from an internship for smoking weed in the parking lot. I tried to put the brakes on before people came over and we got some weird party game, but Madison wasn't hearing it. She said it was the best idea she'd heard in fucking months. That it sounded cool, fun, and very satisfying. But the key, she noted, was having enough participation. Winking at me, she turned and smirked at Jeff. It's like the Hitchcock movie, right? Crisscross, motherfucker.
Sorry.
3 days later, I was carving the words "fucking whore" into the hood of a stranger's car.
Sorry, I just had to. What? First it was motherfucker, then it's like 3 days later I proceeded to carve whore into someone's car. Jesus Christ.
Alrighty.
Okay, back
So
on.
I was carving the words "fucking whore" in the hood of a stranger's car. We'd used the knockoff person index cards, but I suppose it worked well enough. I'd pull Allison's former best friend, who had apparently slept with Allison's high school boyfriend. I wanted to ask if Paul, Allison's current boyfriend, was okay with her still being so hung up on the past relationship, but I felt like it wouldn't go over well, so I left it alone. Instead, I dutifully folded up my note and tucked it in my pocket, planning on waiting till later to worry if I was going to go through the prank with a prank or not. But letting go of the thought wasn't so easy. From the time I got my name and address, I wasn't preoccupied with doing something to the woman. It's not like I'm a mean-spirited guy or anything, but it was just dumb as it sounds. It felt like I'd made a promise I had to keep. I went back to Jeff's house after I was done and found the purse hanging in the tool shed. Before, there were 3 butter knives with rubber bands around them. Cute. I guess the other 3 had already filled the sack, and when I put my own in, I saw I was right. I wondered who had gone my own special little request and what they'd done. I found out soon enough. Jeff's dead. I squeezed my phone tighter as the ground seemed to sway under me. What? What do you mean? Madison's voice was high and brittle when she spoke again. I mean, he's fucking dead. He had your guy. Calvin Egger was your guy, right? I slumped down onto the couch, barely able to breathe. Yeah, he was my guy. Just this junky asshole I roomed with as a freshman. He bailed for his quarter, stole my laptop. I could never prove it, but I knew it was him. And he's a townie, so I still see the fucker around sometimes. I blinked, coming back to the conversation. But how? How is Jeff dead? He apparently tried to run that guy off the road. Well, he did run him off the road. The Calvin guy got fucked up. They say they're life flighting him somewhere. But Jeff went off the road too. He hit a tree. The last word trailed off into a low moan. I didn't know what to say. Jeff would never do anything like that. There wasn't a mean or crazy bone in his body. It didn't make any. The phone clicked and went dead. I tried calling her back, but there was no answer. Turns out there was a good reason for that. She had shot herself in the head.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Jesus.
In the past 5 days, 2 of the other 3 people have turned up dead as well. One by suicide, and the other was shot while he was trying to burn down a hardware store. As for Paul, well, the police are still looking for him in connection with an aggravated assault where he allegedly broke an old man's leg with a metal softball bat.
Oh my god.
And me, I'm currently a person of interest in a rape case. Not because I have any connection to the victim whatsoever, because the woman was able to give a clear description of anyone, but because my car was sitting in the neighborhood the night it happened and the man matching my description was seen by a couple walking their dog. The man was apparently carving the words "fucking bitch" into the victim's car. I'm not superstitious, but I'm not stupid either. And that wasn't all a coincidence. And the thing that connected, it was all that stupid fucking game. A game I learned about from my professor. So I emailed him repeatedly, but I got no response. After 2 days of waiting, I called his office and left a voicemail. To my surprise, I got a call back that afternoon. Mr. Browning? Yeah, this is Professor Miller? It is, yes. I got your voicemail. You sounded very upset, but I couldn't follow what you were talking about. You mentioned something in the reading? I sucked in breath and tried to keep my voice calm. Yes, like I told you before. It was in the coursework last month, the story about the cursed village, the thing that talked about the Sack of Knives game. There was a long pause. Now I could hear the flutter of pages as he spoke again. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I know the story you're referencing, but just a moment. Yes, I think I found the line. Sue of Knaves, right?
It's Sacks of Knives.
No.
I know, I'm
I
reading it, but
I guess Sacks of Knives, but spelled differently. If you say so, you called it Sack of Knives in the email just like I did, but you have to know more than you. Email? I frowned. Was he fucking drunk or something? I didn't have time for this. If he wouldn't give me straight answers, he could talk to the fucking cops about it. Yeah, the email you sent me when I asked about it. Another pause. Mr. Browning, I haven't sent you an email. I don't use email at all, if I'm honest. Bit of a ludite, I know, but old dogs and all that. The department secretary will print out critical missives from my account, but I haven't read anything from you or any other students in, well, probably better than a year. The man went on hesitantly. This is part of what I want to address. You seemed in both the voicemail and this conversation to be under the impression that we've talked before, but I can assure you we haven't. Not outside of the times I might have called on you in class. And as for this phrase, well, it is interesting, but given your apparent upset, it's certainly not a topic you should be focused on at the moment. Perhaps you should talk to someone if you're feeling anxious or confused. I stood up and began pacing. This is bullshit. I have the email. I have proof. Son, I don't doubt you do, but I can tell you it wasn't for me. Maybe it got mixed up with someone else, or maybe my account got tricked, hacked. I don't know.
yes.
I wanted to scream at him, but I wasn't sure he was lying. Wasn't it possible someone else had gone to his account or duped his address somehow? But why? And what did it have to do with the stupid Sack of Knives game? I really should be going. No, please, Professor. I'll stay calm. Just tell me what you know about the Sack of Knives game. I hear him puff out a long breath on the other end. Very well, but if you get upset again, I'm going to let you go. Okay, deal. Okay, as I said, it's not Sack of Knives. It's Sacks of Knives, like SEAX of Knaves. It's, yeah.
Weird.
SEAX was an Old English name for a kind of knife, which makes your mistake rather humorous, I suppose. They were single-edged, fixed blades tools that were sometimes used as weapons in a pinch, particularly among the Saxons, whose names come from the very same word as for knave or knife. That's an old word for a trickster or a scoundrel, sometimes a thief or something worse. Worse, like what? What does it mean in the book, in the village? I don't know that I feel comfortable delving into old superstitions with a man that is clearly distressed. I stopped pacing. Please, sir, I need to know this, and then I'll let you go. He began again with shaky breath. The Sacks of Knives wasn't a game. It was a ritual. In the region it originated in, the knave was a slang term for a demon or devil, an evil spirit. In the ritual, you became a knife of demons. Essentially, you were doing wrong against one who had not wronged you, spreading discord and suffering. Part of the practical effect is clear. It was slightly clever. It was a slightly clever way of trying to get revenge on others indirectly. But the more profound consequence was supposedly that you were binding yourself to this other, and then whether you knew it or not, you were part of the offering to be made. The man cleared his throat. There are stories of this throughout history, of course. Places where people become strange, turn on each other. Whole villages and towns have been lost to it, even in modern times. Today we call it mental illness, mass hysteria. And well, I'm sure that's the right of it. He laughed uncomfortably. If I may ask, why are you so fascinated by this? You haven't tried it yourself, have you? My vision began to swim as I nodded to an empty room. We did. We thought it was a joke, and now my friends are dead. And he muttered something, and then said more clearly, "Do not contact me again." I heard a beep as he hung up. Staring down at my phone, I replayed in my head what he muttered before hanging up and trying to make sense of it. It knows what you hate, and it hates what you love.
Oh my god.
That was good. That was good. That was good. I enjoyed that.
I actually really like that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it like
An
a solid
old
8 or 9 out
man
of
with his
10.
knees with a baseball bat. Was it
Yeah.
Marcus? I actually want to read more. There should be another part
Sequel.
explaining what the email was.
God.
Well, the email
I
is
think
probably
it was
Satan.
the the demon from the ritual.
Yeah,
I
But
the
think
they
they
didn't
were.
names.
summon him at the time. It's a ritual. You summon
Well, I
him
think he was
when you do
bind.
the ritual.
I think he was binded
Well,
to the demon
the
for
Satan isn't
eternity.
just a summon. You don't just summon Satan. Like he can just show up sometimes and do things to cause something to happen. He can be very
God.
indirect about his actions.
That was actually one of the best stories I've ever read.
That was
And
fantastic.
someone
I
probably
hate
pulled
to
it out
follow
of
up
his
on that.
asshole.
No, this man probably did not pull this out of his asshole. He probably worked on this for a
Oh.
long time.
Someone replied, "Even if I want to do Sack of Knives, I can't because I don't have friends."
Oh
No
my
wonder it
god!
has so many upvotes. This
Yeah,
was
that's
really good.
fantastic. I love
Did
that.
you guys like my reading? Was my reading good?
Yeah, unlike
You're
mine,
fine.
who kept like trailing off.
Shut
Shut up.
That's how I normally read.
All right, so that was Sack of
Yeah.
Knives.
Sack of Knives.
I rate it 9 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a. That's. I was gonna ask.
3
like,
days
halfway through.
later, I was carving the words "fucking whore" into the hood of his.
Yeah, that got me.
It's just so out of nowhere.
Very interesting
Oh my
premise.
God.
Very interesting premise.
All right, we can talk about this more after.
Yeah.
We could talk about all three stories
Um,
after they're all said.
I loved it. I want a second part.
yeah.
I would
I-
it caught my interest, you know.
Oh,
It's a fully fleshed story of, you know, this
Really well
guy,
done.
you know, oh, Sacks and Knives, even though it's not spelled Sacks and Knives. It's said that way, but it's not spelled it because, you know, medieval times.
Probably made sense to him because like he put knives.
Fucking
in
Marcus
his
started
houses.
laughing. Then turns out there was a good reason for that. She had shot herself in the head.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I really liked it. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
yeah.
Really
nice.
good.
What are you giving it?
You know, I don't blame you for saying that. It's just hard for me to find the perfect story. You know.
What are you giving it?
Oh, I already said 8 or 9 out of 10.
Then in an average
you have
of
to say
9 out of
1.
10.
I'll say
9 out of 10.
Oh,
Oh,
wait,
So
fine.
it'd
never
be
mind.
so
It's
the
a
average would
9.5.
be 9.5 out of 10.
9.5 out of 10. Sexy.
Show it on the screen.
Show it on the screen,
All right.
editor.
That was
Alright,
a really
so-
good one.
All right, get it.
So for this one, I did read a tiny bit of ahead. I still don't know what happens in there.
What's
But
it
I am
called?
going to be. It's called "Something Happened 63 Years Ago That Haunted Me My Entire Life." I've never
Oh,
told anyone
I think
about
I
it
saw that
until
one. That was a
now.
really good one.
Okay, you're gonna have to send me the link
Why?
because I need to
You have to
show it
send the
on the
link so we can
screen.
credit.
But yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
credit,
that's right.
and then I'm also
The credit.
I'm following it with my mouse on the screen while recording.
So I'm probably gonna be censoring some of the swears because of personal reasons.
Huh?
But
Okay.
yeah, I'll get yelled at.
What are you doing?
Censoring swearing.
You slut.
Bro, mine had a lot of swearing. I was actually
Yeah.
quite surprised.
No, okay. What
Yeah.
got me was where is it? Oh, I lost it. Hold on, I lost the story. Okay, so winking at me, she turned and smirked at Jeff. It's like Hitchcock movie, right?
Yeah.
Crisscross,
Crisscross,
motherfucker.
motherfucker.
3 days later, I was carving.
And then 3 days later, I was carving fucking whore into the hood of a stranger's car.
All right, let's do this.
Hold on, wait. I have to open it.
So this tells me that this title just immediately tells me I think this is a true story.
Ooh, this is a saucily long one.
Oh
Alright.
yeah.
Begin. It's official.
All right.
I'm gonna
I
open it
also
now.
might need to pause in the middle of it to switch over to my phone. We'll see. Anyways, something happened 63 years ago that's haunted me my entire life, and I've never told anyone about it until now. It's official. I'm an old man. For the last couple of years, I've comforted myself by saying I'm in my early 70s, but math is simple and unforgiving. Today is my 75th birthday, and God, the years do fly. I'm not here for your well wishes. This is hardly a milestone I'm excited about. I'm glad to still be here, of course, but I find I have less and less to live for with every passing year. my bones ache, my kids live far away, and the other side of my bed has been empty for just over 8 months now. In fact, once I cast my vote against the goddamn Trump this November, I may have nothing to live for at all.
Fucking legend.
So spare me your happy birthdays and your congratulations, if you please. I'm here because I have a story for you, and it's one I've never told before. I used to think I kept it inside because it was silly, or maybe because no one would believe it. I found, though, that the older you grow, the more exhausting it becomes to lie to yourself. If I'm being perfectly honest, I've never told anybody this story because it scares me almost to death. But death seems friendlier than it used to be, so listen close. The year was 1950. The setting, a small town in Maine. I was a boy of 9, rather small of my age, with only one friend in the world to speak of, and his family, seemingly on a whim, decided to move 2,000 miles away. It was shaping up to be the worst summer of my life. My pop-up wasn't around, and my pop wasn't around, and my mom was a chore. Um, anyways,
Chore whore.
yes. Boy, was I proud of myself when I came up with that one. So I wasn't. So I wasn't. Was
Apt.
that trying to say? Oh, apt. To hang around the house with some hesitation. I decided the public library was the place to be that summer. The library's collection of books, particularly children's books, was meager to say the least. But within the walls of that miserly structure, I would find no undone chores, no nagging mother, God rest her soul, and perhaps most important, no other children with whom I would be expected to associate. I was the only kid with a low enough social status to spend his precious days of freedom sulking amid the bookshelves, and that was just fine with me. The first half of my summer was even more dreadful than I imagined it would be. I would sleep until 10, do my chores, and then ride my bike to the library. And by bike, I mean rusty log of crap attached to a pair of wheels.
Sexy.
Once there, what?
Sexy.
Oh. Once there, I would split my time between unintentionally annoying the elderly patrons and deliberately doing so. And I'm gonna have to switch over to my phone. Give me a minute.
Alright, guys, so while we're waiting for Seth
What?
to switch over his
What
phone,
happened?
he had to switch over to his phone. His dad probably has to. So while we're waiting, we're going to talk about today's sponsor, me.
Could you actually send me the links
To this
so I
one.
can follow along? Because I tried finding it and I can't find it.
But today's sponsor is going to be me. Follow my YouTube
You can't
channel.
sponsor your own.
And make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube statistics say that 0% of you guys are subscribed.
Holy shit, this is a pretty lengthy one too.
Yeah, I know.
Where is he right now?
He's on his phone.
No,
Oh, where is he?
what paragraph?
I don't know.
What do you mean? Stop! Why'd you comment sent by Scaredy give him an uwu for me?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're a fucking disgrace.
There's a lot of F words here, and this man's about to fucking censor it.
Nice.
Yeah, guys, like I said, like and subscribe. I know we're a small channel right now, but boy oh boy, do people like to fucking listen to people talk for no reason. But either way, we're going to be posting these videos pretty much as I can physically before my body slowly loses life juices. So make sure you keep up. Now, if you want to see me play video games and get some spook on, because I'll be doing spooky games.
That?
My god, your audio. Oh, don't
My audio
breathe.
quality
Don't
just
breathe.
jumped.
Don't breathe. Stop breathing. Stop fucking breathing.
Why?
Because all it is.
Can you fucking not?
Alright. Sorry about that. Anyways, where was I?
The first half of my summer was even more dreadful.
Okay, yes. The first half of my summer was even more dreadful than I imagined it to be. I would sleep in until 10, do my chores, and then ride my bike to the library. By bike, I mean a rusty log of shit attached to a pair of wheels. Once there, I would split my time between unintentionally annoying the elderly patrons and deliberately doing so. One pleasant lady actually interrupted my incessant tongue clicking to a hiss, "Shut the fuck up," at me. The first time I ever heard a grown-up use the F word. Big effing deal. I know, but in those days, it was unheard of. The dreary days turned to woeful weeks. I had actually begun praying for school to start again until I discovered the basement. I could have sworn I'd roamed every inch of that library. But one day, in the far corner behind the foreign language collection, I stumbled across a small wooden door I'd never seen before. That was where it all began. The door was windowless and made from oak that looked far older than the wood in which it rested. It had a knob of black metal that quite literally looked ancient. I wouldn't have been surprised to learn it was crafted in the 17th century. Engraved on the knob was what appeared to be a single footprint. I had the sense that whatever lay beyond the door was forbidden to me, and therefore probably the most interesting thing I would encounter all summer. I quickly glanced around to make sure nobody was watching me, then turned the heavy knob, slipped behind the door, and shut it. There was nothing, only darkness. I took a couple of steps and then stopped, unnerved by the totality of the shadow which surrounded me. I waved my hands in front of me in an attempt to find a wall or a shelf or anything to hold on to. What I actually found was far more subtle. A small string, dangling from above, but far more useful. I grabbed it firmly and pulled it down. Back in the day, lots of light bulbs were operated with strings, and this was one of them. My surroundings were instantly illuminated. I was standing on a small, dusty platform that looked as though it hadn't seen life in quite some time. To my left was a crickety-ass spiral staircase made of wood and appearing ready to collapse at any second. The bulb was the only source of light in the room, and it was feeble, so when I peered over the railing to see what lay below, the bottom of the staircase dissolved into the darkness. I was beginning to feel scared. This place, wherever I was, seemed to have no business in a town library. It was as though I were in a completely different building, but no 9-year-old likes to let a mystery go unsolved. Looking back, I wish I could tell my prepubescent self to turn around, go back, do anything else besides descending that staircase. We spared a lot of sleepless nights, I'd say. But of course, I didn't know that then, and I may not have listened even if I had. So instead of turning back, I took a deep breath,
Fucking
gripped
trains.
the railing, and glared. Dang it, Marcus.
Read, white boy.
Just hear fucking trains. Anyways, and glared resolutely forward as I began my descent. The wood on the railing was dry and covered with splinters. I immediately let go, holding my hands out for balance as I carefully traversed the staircase. It was, or at least seemed, very long, with only the dim glow of the string bulb far above me. My heart pounded mercilessly in the dark. Even kids can sense when something isn't right. I think they just don't always give a shit. By the time my feet reached the cement floor at the bottom, the light from the bulb above was very near memory. but there was a new light source. God, I'll never forget it. Directly in front of me was a door, massive and a deep shade of red. The light was coming from behind the door, and it shone out in thin lines from all four sides. A sinister, dimly glowing rectangle. For the second time, I took a deep breath and went through a door I shouldn't have. In contrast to the dark room I entered from, the room behind the door was blinding. When my eyes adjusted, what I saw nearly took my breath away. It was a library, the most perfect library imaginable. I gaped in wonder as I stepped almost reverently further into the room. Oh, sorry. It was beautiful. It was smaller than the library above, much smaller. But it seemed to be almost tailor-made for. The shelves were packed with brightly colored titles. Both armchairs in the middle of the room were exquisitely comfortable, and the smell, God, the smell was simply unbelievable. Sort of a mixture of citrus and pine. I simply can't do it justice with words. So I'll suffice it to say that I've never smelled anything better. Not in my 75 years. What was this room? Why had I never heard of it before? Why was nobody else here? Those were the questions I should have been asking. But I was intoxicated. As I gazed around at all the books and basked in the smell of paradise, I can only form one thought. I will never be bored again. In truth, boredom only hid from me for 3 years. It was on my 12th birthday, 63 years ago, to this day, that everything changed. But that day, I visited the basement sanctuary as often as I could, usually several times a week. I never saw another soul down there, yet strangely remained suspicious. I never removed a book from that room, but instead would pick up a particular volume where I had stopped reading during my visit. I sat always in the same deep purple armchair, and always leaving its twin barren directly across from myself. That armchair was mine. The other was, well, I suppose I couldn't have articulated it then much better than I can now. But it wasn't mine, that's for damn sure. On my 12th birthday, I arrived later than usual. My mom had invited a couple of classmates and some cousins over to our house to celebrate, a gesture which I found more tedious than touching. Really, I just wanted to spend my birthday sitting and reading and smelling paradise. Eventually,
Fucking
our guests went.
weird.
Eventually, our guests went home, and I made it to the library about 15 minutes before closing time. That didn't matter. The workers never checked down there before they locked up. I was free to stay as late as I wished. This particular night, I was devouring the final chapters of an epic adventure. Knights, swords, dragons, and the like. I didn't smell it until I read the final words and closed the book. The once exquisite aroma of that room had turned sour. I sat for a moment, unsettled. Objectively, I could recognize that. Objectively, I could recognize that the smell was actually the same as it had been before, a mixture of citrus and pine. I was perceived it, I just perceived it differently, and I don't like it anymore. It was the nasal version of an optical illusion. You know, the one that looks like a young woman glancing backward, but all of a sudden you see that it's a really old woman facing toward you. You can't unsee that, and I couldn't unsmell this. The spell was broken. The odor also seemed, for the first time, to be coming from somewhere specific. With a fair amount of trepidation, I stalked around the room, sniffing the air like a crazed canine until I came to a shelf near the back. The shelf was perfectly normal, with the exception of one title, a large leather-bound cover of solid faded maroon, with one striking black footprint at the top of the spine. This was the source of the smell. I opened the front cover and saw one sentence scrawled neatly in blood red at the top of the first page. Rest your sorrows down, friend, and leave them where they lie. I stared at the sentence, mesmerized as I began to retreat to my chair. I turned a page, blank. The smell became stronger. Another page, blank. And the smell grew stronger still. I stopped for a moment, suppressed a gag, continued walking. Then, as I neared the armchairs, I turned one final page, and there, in the same sinister print, was the last thing I expected to see. My own name. I dropped the book. I began to sprint toward the door, but as I shifted my gaze, my heart leapt to my throat and I stopped in my tracks. The empty chair wasn't empty anymore. An aged man in a suit sat before me, one leg crossed over the other, contemplating me with piercing gray eyes and a light smirk. This was all too much. I fell to my knees and expelled the contents of my stomach onto the carpet. I wiped my mouth, staring at my vomit, when I heard the man let out a chuckle. I stared at him disbelievingly. "Who are you?" I asked, panic in my voice. The man leapt to his feet, grabbed me gently by the shoulders, and helped me to my chair. He sat once again in his own. "I fear we got off to a bad start," he said, glancing at the pile of sick on the carpet. "The smell does take some use getting it does take some getting used to, sorry." "Who are you?" I repeated. "Tonight you will know hardship like you've never known before," he said. "I come as a friend, offering you refuge from it, from all other storms which lie ahead." I wanted nothing more than to leave at that moment, but I remained seated. I asked him what he was talking about. "Your mother is dead, my boy, by her own hand in her kitchen. The scene is gruesome, I must admit," he said in a sorrowful tones. But was there a playful glint in his eye? "Surely you wish to avoid this path. I can show you a safer one." My blood ran cold at the horrors this man spoke of, but I did not believe him. "What do you want with me?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. He laughed, an old, raspy yelp that seemed to shake him to his bones. "Nothing but your friendship, dear boy," he said. Then, sensing I found his answer inadequate, he expounded. "I want you to come on a journey with me. My work is noble, and you will make a fine apprentice. And maybe, when I'm done," he sighed tiredly, running his bony fingers through his thin white hair, "maybe then my work can be yours." I stood up, shuffling toward the door, but never breaking his gaze. "You're crazy," I told him. "My mom isn't dead. She's not." "See for yourself, if you must," he said, gesturing toward the door. I threw him a con- contemptuous glare and bolted for the exit. As my hand closed around the knob, he said my name softly. In spite of myself, I turned around. "The road won't be easy, friend, if it ever becomes too much for you. And I mean ever," he said, pausing to sweep his hand over the room. "You know where to find me." I slammed the door behind me and took the decrepit stairs 2 at a time. I exited the library, clambered onto my bike, and hightailed it home. The front door was wide open. I dismounted, leaving my
Wait,
bike in a
wait.
heap on the ground.
All right, continue.
Bless you.
What's that?
Bless
You
you.
good?
Jesus, that's kind of scared me.
All right, continue. Onions, get out of here. I'm recording something. Sorry. All
Oh, sorry, bye.
right, continue.
I dismounted, leaving my bike in a heap on the ground and approaching the house cautiously. The old man was lying. He must have been. Still, tears began to sting my eyes. Heart pounding, I stepped inside and called for my mother. I heard no answer. So I turned to the kitchen. To this day, I don't know why she did it. I've lived in that small town in Maine my entire life, although I've kept mostly clear of the public library. Once in my late 20s, I summoned the courage to step inside. Life was good at the time, and my fear had begun to morph into idle curiosity. When the door to my basement sanctuary once stood was only a blank wall, I asked the librarian what had become of the basement, though in my heart I knew the answer. There was no basement, she said. There has never been a basement. In fact, she had her facts correctly. City zoning ordinances prohibited a basement in the area. I've been haunted by that sickly sweet smell, that poisonous blend of citrus and pine, ever since that long ago birthday when I saw my mother in the kitchen that day, collapsed in a pool of her own blood. I smelled it. When a man claiming to be my father knocked on my college apartment door, begged me for money, and beat me to within an inch of my life when I refused. I smelled it. When my wife miscarried our second child, I smelled it. And again when she miscarried our fourth, when our oldest son got behind the wheel of the family Buick completely shit-faced and got his girlfriend, I smelled it. I began to smell it periodically as my wife became sick. She died last year and now I'm alone for the first time in more than half a century. Now I smell it every day. It feels like an invitation. A few months ago, I went back to the library, and the small oak door with the ancient handle was there, right where it used to be. My evening walk has brought me past that library every day since, but I haven't gone inside. Tonight I will. I'm frightened to die, yes, but lately I'm even more frightened to keep leaving. The old man was right. My road hasn't been easy. I doubt it ever will get any. Rest your sorrows down, friend. Leave them where they lie. He promised relief, a refuge, he said. Was he right about that too? Only one way to find out. After all, I still know where to find him.
In all honesty, you were quiet 90% of the time, but it was still a good story. I thought it was really good.
Hold on.
For 19,000 upvotes.
I gotta blow my nose.
I think this might be real.
Where's my toilet paper?
Like,
I don't know.
I think this man actually believes this happened. I don't know if it actually happened.
Where's my toilet paper?
But I do think that he genuinely believes this has happened. That's kind of freaky, man. I started to have like a panic attack after through that story.
It was really good.
Oh yeah, that was that was intense. That's so weird how that works. Like he smells that citrus and pine every time death lurks. Maybe the man was supposed to be death.
Yes, of course the man was dead, you idiot.
Was he trying to raise this kid as an apprentice to be death?
Yeah. Probably.
Well, it depends.
Oh my god, there's some shit in my nose.
Maybe
like someone said, I thought the old man was just the reaper or death, and he comes to take the souls and guide them. That's why he smells the odor every time he's in presence of death. He chose to live his life so he can't see him then, but he knows he is there because of the smell.
Yeah, and also, how else would the man know that his mother was already dead? This could be fake. This could be really, really fake. But
why is that
crap.
7.6k upvotes?
What?
I'm kind of curious.
What are you looking at?
It says my husband has taken our role playing too far. There's 7.6k upvotes, and it says in the warning, animal abuse.
Oh, send it to me.
We're not reading it.
Damn it. Okay, I'll read
animal abuse is the line.
Well, yeah, that is true.
All right, so we have enough time for 2 more.
Well, how long have you been?
This one's really
recording?
short. This one I have though. I finally told my mom why I hate dolls is really short.
Okay, so we'll do my I woke up in a bathtub full of ice.
Is that one pretty short?
This one is pretty short. and then I have one that's literally like all like one, you literally scroll like half an inch and you're done with it. So we'll have Seth read that one, and
Marcus, how
then
long have you been recording
So I
for?
would
That's
I would give
that's
that
for you
story
to know,
that
Fed
he
boy.
read. I'd give that a 9 out of 10.
I would give it an 8 out of 10
Why lower?
because I've heard that story 100 times already.
Oh, you have? Oh,
Yeah. I've heard the
dang it.
trope all the time. Child has an encounter with something interesting. His life
Oh,
has hardship.
you've heard the gist.
You're gonna
like
have
the
to
kind of-
remember that I have consumed so much literature that I can predict the ending to 99% of most movies. But I don't watch
I
movies
don't know.
anymore.
I think it might.
It's not
I
a
know
new
I'm just being
concept to
super
me.
No, I think I might just be gullible, but I think there's a possibility this is real, or at least the guy thought it was real.
Either way,
'Cause,
what
like,
do you rate it?
at the beginning of the story, he like explicitly says he's never told anyone this, and he thinks maybe because he didn't think anyone would believe him. And and he doesn't, and he's saying it's his birthday, but he doesn't want anyone to give him congratulations or anything. Anyways,
All right. I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
yeah, 9 out of 10.
All right, so
That
with
was
a
pretty
rating
good.
of 8.5, we're going on to the next story. Editor, put it on the screen.
I quickly want to talk about this meme. Want to know what a social worker trying to handle a domestic looks like? It shows a picture of Chris Wallace. For those that don't know, he was the moderator in the debate where he couldn't handle anything. And the two just bitched at each other. Anyways.
All right, so we are going on to the next story, otherwise known as "He was inside my house." Wait, no, that's the wrong one.
That's wrong.
I woke up in a bathtub full of ice. Can I get some hype?
That doesn't really sound scary.
What kind of
I don't know what you're talking
ice are we
about.
talking about? What kind
Sexy
of ice are we
ice,
talking
iced
about?
tea all over my body. Not the drink, the
Mhm.
man himself.
Well, what about the
Iced
drug?
tea.
What about the drug?
What drug?
I'm pretty sure ice is a drug.
What? You are reading
Are
into
you
this
sure
too
this
much.
one's
I think
short?
ice is like slang for drug.
Marcus.
This one will be fine.
Yeah.
This one is
This
short compared to the
methamphetamine.
ones y'all have been fucking reading. All right.
Sure.
I can burn through this one. Watch this. All right. Plus, we have
This
time.
isn't the
Don't worry.
series.
We have time. This is not a series. Oh, series. Hold on.
Motherfucker.
Nah, it's fine. This has a cliffhanger ending, which will just be perfect. All right. Fuck. I feel like crap. My entire body was heavy, as if it were being held down by some unnatural weight. The pain in my back of my skull throbbed. Therefore, I rarely drank, knowing I would have belligerent hangover in the morning and having one or two different things. I knew I would be in pain, but I didn't care. I wanted to drown my woes into a cup or 10 of alcohol, and now I'm paying for it. Literally. I tried to move my body. The sound of sloshing finally caught my attention. Managing to open my heavy eyelids to see I wasn't in my bed, curled up in my blankets. No, I was in an unfamiliar bathroom. The smell of it triggered my gag reflexes. Before I had time to think about it, I leaned over the bathtub and vomited on the tile floor. I kept heaving until I had nothing left in my stomach to vomit. Slowly regaining my cognizance. Slowly gaining my conscience, it finally dawned on me. I was in a bathroom I didn't recognize. The walls were a urine yellow, the low light that flickered and hummed. The quietness caused me to shiver. I understood why my body was heavy and what the solution around was. I was in a bathtub full of melted down ice. My body had splotches of
That's just
red
water.
everywhere. Shut the fuck up. My body had splotches of red everywhere. Then I saw the sature stitches around the front of my body, all at different angles. Slowly, I ran my numb finger across the satures. All were swollen and red. Did I sell my organs or something? I mean, I do stupid things when I get drunk, but this tops the list of stupidity. Sorry. I was in mid getting out of the bathtub when suddenly the reason for last night's inebriation and my resulting hangover hit me. How the hell did I forget? Her. He left me. Ow, shit! I slipped and fell out of the bathtub and hit my head on the now wet tiled bathroom floor. There was a cut on my forehead and now my hand was just covered in my blood. Shit! Ouch! Shit! I slipped as I tried to shut up. I slipped as I tried to get up on my feet, but the floor was too far wet for me to get up. Like a cartoon trying to get up, but kept sleeping and falling. Kept slipping and falling on my ass and knees. My legs were trembling and weak. My entire body felt way too heavy. Even if I had been drinking and possibly sold a kidney, something didn't feel right. Not right at all. And all that, I was now covered in my own vomit. My gag reflexes started. I had to get out of this bathroom. If I don't, it's going to get even more gross and ugly than it already is. I managed to slip out of the bathroom, holding onto the door frame, keeping my weak body up on unsteady legs. What the hell had I done? I wanted to crawl into the deep, dark hole and forget everything that happened over the last month. But instead, all the details from last night came flooding back like a hurricane. The entire month had been nothing of a joke. I lost everything I deemed valuable to me. I lost my job. My father died. My dog got hit by a car. And the icing on the cake, my wife took the kids and left me after arriving back from my father's funeral. Oh, fuck. Gone. My wife and kids were gone. She didn't tell me she was unhappy, nor did she give me any indication whatsoever. Fuck, my soda. Packed up and left. I came to an empty house. She moved everything she deemed as hers out of the house. The only thing she left was the mattress and the microwave. I didn't think I would hurt. I didn't think it would hurt anything to get
Which
a
were you
little
gonna sleep in?
drunk. So I didn't have to think about it at all until I met a woman last night who gave me something. Now it was coming back to me. A drug to make me feel better. Her words. She told me she could change me. Little did I know she changed me all right. Felt nauseous. I stared down at the freshly stitched up cuts all over my body. Probably sold all my organs on the black market. I mean, what else could I lose? After all, I lost everything. Well, that's right. I need organs to help me live. It's the only thing I could valuably lose. But obviously, I'm somehow alive. I managed to look up from the shaggy, disgusting carpet, and my stomach tightened with disgust and horror. Sorry. Single bed in the motel room was crumpled, but there was blood everywhere. Splatters of blood all over the walls and bed. The sheets were drenched in blood. Fuck, it really looked like I was butchered last night. How the fuck was I still alive? I rubbed my swollen eyes and blinked again. Nope, still there. I wasn't imagining the blood everywhere. Suddenly, images of the woman leaning over me, holding what looked like an organ in her bloodied glove head, came rushing over me. Once this is done and over with, you'll be better than ever. Trust me on that. Don't worry, your life will be much more satisfying. From losing everything and now gaining what you need. Trust me, that's what's best for you. You aren't the only one we've done this to, so remember, we are trying to help. That's all we want to do. Help you be a better person than you already are. I held my head. That was the last I can remember. She had been holding organs. She was smearing with blood on her face and neck, her black short hair, and tousled and stuck up in odd ends. I shook off the memory. When I glanced about the room, ignoring my blood coated everywhere, I saw the motel phone and stumbled to it, grabbed it, and hold on, I think I'm getting a phone call. No.
Oh my god.
You were getting angry at me.
I shook the memory. When I glanced about the room, ignoring the blood oh wait, hold on. Grabbing it shakily and managed to call for an ambulance. 15 minutes later, the motel was crawling with cops. I was in an ambulance with the paramedics fussing over me as they checked my heart rate. But according to them, they were getting an interference, and my breathing was shallow. Detective Frost was with me outside the ambulance, smoking, looking a bit haggard, his dark brown hair a bit ruffled. The dark circles under his eyes told me how much sleep he doesn't get. The dead look in his green eyes, he stared at all the stitches on my body, asking me repeated questions. I was starting to get irritated at him, repetitive questions after another. So you have no idea who did this to you? How many times do I have to tell you that? I hissed out in pain as the paramedic bandaged my head from the wound I had got from falling out of the bathtub. I barely remember who she was. Do you even catch a first name at least? Something we can work with. Bianca. Belinda. Beatrix. I don't know. Her name started with a B. I groaned as the paramedic was frustratingly trying to get me to stay still as they treated what open wounds I had. They had done their cognitive test on me and I passed. Nothing seemed wrong other than I might be missing some organs, although they didn't know if I was. They wanted to take me to get me tested. Frost took another drag of his half-lit cigarette and sighed as a bloom of smoke came out of his mouth. He didn't look too happy to know I didn't get that much information on the woman who practically cut my organs out. All right, I'll work on what I got. Does your wife have a grudge against you or friends? I shrugged. I don't know. I mean, she did just leave me, so who can tell? Frost gave me a look of a parent who is fed up. Fuck off. Gave me the look of a parent who is fed up with childish excuses. He wrote it all down on a notepad. Another bloom of smoke came out of his mouth as a cigarette hung from his lips. A few days of scruff was evident on his jaw. Obviously, I'm not the only one having a miserable life. That made me feel better. Excuse me. He turned to the paramedic. I'm done here. Is there anything else you need me to do before we take him to the hospital? The paramedic, who was a younger guy, looked like a graduate from school. He shrugged. Seems like everything might be okay, but I can't get a read on his blood pressure nor his heart rate. He had one of the blood pressure devices around my upper arm. It's a fucking... Okay, you know what? It was squeezing the life out of my arm. I had winced at realizing how tight it had been turned out to be. He also had an IV stuck in my other wrist. Ugh. And a heart monitor attached to my chest as I lay on the gurney. We want to take him to the hospital just to make sure he's all right and make sure that he still has his important organs. With all those cuts, it seems like they took out a lung, a kidney, messed with his heart, and so on. Either that or they kept making the wrong incisions. Frost nodded and flipped his little notepad closed. All right. If I have any more questions, I'll come and see you at the hospital, Tyler. Oh, shit, my name's Tyler? The detective said as he blew out the last... Fuck off, phone! As he blew out the last cold cloud of death from his cigarette and threw it on the ground and stomped on it. He shoved his hands in his overcoat pockets and headed towards the motel. Hold on. Getting a call? No, it's just people texting. Fuck off.
God.
The paramedics had taken that as their signal to shut the double doors in the back. Then in front of the one in the front, of course, drove away from the motel. The one in the back with me continued to mess with the machines and didn't make small talk after that. The whole ride up to the hospital was a bit awkward. You know what I mean. The entire silence was deafening. But he was right. The heart monitor kept spiking. Then another ear interference, and another was low and steady. It was weird. What the hell happened to me? When I got to the hospital, the doctors fussed around me. According to them, I was being difficult until they had given me a sedative. Then I finally settled down and stopped freaking out every time they made some intriguing noise that made me panic even worse. Eventually, the sedatives forced me to go back to sleep. When I woke up a few minutes later, I felt slightly better than when I woke up in the bathtub full of ice. Though they didn't last for exceptionally long, my doctor came in and told me I wasn't missing any organs at all. I had gained 4 new organs. What?
What the fuck? What the fuck? I was about to say, like, this is the embodiment of people taking organs out of your body. And then
the man
apparently
gets
you got
more
more
organs
organs?
added. What? Hold on a minute.
why?
You are now farmland. What a healthy boy. Such a plentiful you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the episode of Invader Zim where Zim is like, "Oh yes, to become a human, I must have human organs." So he just kept stealing fucking children's organs until he became this like meat pig. It just like spat out like liver and oh my god, it's such a gruesome episode.
It is. Why does he have 4 more
Interesting
organs?
topic, and I like that twist. Gets a 9 out of 10 from me.
It's not even really a twist. It's just the fact that he has more organs. Fucking amazing. I say I give that an 8 out of 10.
You know, this story it didn't hook me at all. So I'm gonna have to give it like a 5 or maybe even a 6 out of
Rip.
10. It again, people mistake gore for horror, and I just
What? That's not. No. I'm gonna stop you right there with
That's
the
not.
whole.
Yeah, that's not really
They
horror. That's
mistake
more.
gore for horror. I'm such a smart
They do.
writer. I'm such a smart man who reads
No, I'm
books.
not.
No, as a
This is
person
what
who reads
this
all the
Reddit
time,
is.
that is
It's
not
just- it
gore.
didn't
And for
hook
one,
me.
gore
It
doesn't
didn't
equal
hook me.
horror. That is not the stigma. Yes, there are people who think gore equals horror, but also that doesn't make anything with gore bad. Gore is
I
a
didn't say that.
complement to horror.
I didn't say it
You've
made it bad.
unleashed the water here. You're getting a fucking rant now.
It
This
just
story.
it didn't hook me at all.
Silence, lamb child.
What did you say? 9 out of 10?
I said 9 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
9 out of 10.
Okay.
Bran Flakes commented.
That would mean we have a 7.3 average of this story. All right.
Yeah.
Show it on the screen. Woo. All right. It wasn't too bad.
I'm still mad
This
about
one.
this shit.
This one's really short, so this
Alright,
one's called
wait,
I
can you
Finally
send me a
Told My
link?
Mom Why I Hate Dolls.
Oh, you already sent me a link. Give me a second.
Give me a second.
I'll be able to edit this video easy. All I gotta do is add numbers and an outro. Easy.
Yeah, I have to watch our video you just uploaded. So
I uploaded 2 of them. Guys are on my channel. Like and subscribe. Wait, the salad bowl on COVID, sleep, and sex already has 6 views.
nice.
That's actually really good.
All right. So this one is called I Finally Told My Mom Why I Hate Dolls. It's really short, so
Wait.
Like, really?
I lost it. I lost it. Hold on.
what do you mean you lost it?
Hold on. I found it. All right, begin.
Alrighty. Finally told my mom why I hate dolls. My mom knew I hated dolls. I was terrified of them from a long time, but she just assumed that I was creeped out by how human-like they are. She never really questioned it. Plus, I was the type of kid who would rather avoid something I'm scared of, was rarely triggered and jaded by scary things, and would get violent when startled. I had been like that as a child, and still am. It was last year when my friends and I were talking over a Discord when my mom heard me loudly declare how much I hated dolls and how absolutely terrified I was of them. She was shocked to hear this, and with good reason. I have rarely openly admitted to being afraid of something, let alone with such strong language. Before we went to bed, my mom sat me down and asked me why I was terrified of them. I was confused at first, but then realized I haven't told her. For context, our old house had 2 steps leading up to a small platform where you can go 2 steps down straight and go to the bathroom, or take a right and go 11 steps up where there's a small landing. That's confusing. To the right of
Where the
that would
landing
lead
is?
to 2 storage rooms, both of which became my mom and foster sister's room. To the left was the master bedroom, which had its own bedroom and led to the terrace. I used to sleep in the master bedroom with my mom when I was little. The light switch was just beside the door, but back when I was so small, I had to grab a chair from beside the dresser, or I had to get in a dark room and jump so my 3 foot something height would reach the switch. I was around 6 to 8 at the time, and I went inside the house to take a bath. I had been playing with my neighbors all afternoon, and after a quick drink of water and some biscuits, I made my way up the stairs. My mom was at work and my babysitter was out. I distinctly recall being the only one in the house. Why are we letting 6 to 8 year olds in houses alone?
I was in my house
Um,
alone.
Making my way up the stairs, I remember being a bit nervous but mostly tired. When I reached the landing, there was a doll in the stroller. It was my doll, the only one my mom bought me. I found that doll creepy for many reasons. First, it was almost as big as me, had curly brown locks that could never be brushed, and it came with a stroller that I used to be able to sit in. Second, it was the kind of doll that opens its eyes when you carry it. Third, it had
Ooh.
glowing eyes. I don't know what the manufacturer thought. The doll had luminous green eyes that glowed in the dark. I've had literal encounters bumping into that thing in the dark. It was falling over and the eyes rolling up and glowing from the floor. My mom liked it though. I didn't. But back to the doll. It was just there, hands at its side, eyes closed, sitting in a stroller in front of the storage. I stared at it for a few seconds, my child brain hoping it won't open its eyes before I realized it won't anyway. No one's moving it, and even if the stroller moved, it's not like the landing is elevated enough to trigger the eye opening. I turned to the left into the master's bedroom. It was around 7 p.m. at the time, so it was pretty dark. I recall having an eerie feeling scratching at the back of my neck, but shrugged it off. I tried to smack at the light switch from the door, but as I mentioned before, I was a tiny midget and couldn't really hit the lights.
We don't
When
say
I
midget.
finally hit,
We say small
what?
person. Sorry, you're banned.
When I finally hit it, I was surprised when the lights didn't come on. I thought maybe I accidentally hit it twice. So I stepped into the room, the door closing behind me. As soon as everything went dark, the eerie feeling grew stronger. Even though it was dark, I could make out silhouettes. There was something behind me. Turning around, I looked up at the large closet. Above it was a blonde doll. I watched in the dark as the doll's hands moved from its side to its front. By now I was scared and hoping that I was just seeing things. But then it opened its eyes. Bright blue looked straight down at me, and I saw it coming closer and closer and closer. When I realized what was going on, I was on the floor, my head knocking against the hardwood as I stared up at the doll's glowing blue eyes. I could never forget that shade of eerie blue. Its plastic hands were on my neck, pushing down, getting tighter and heavier as it got closer and closer to my face. I remember sobbing and trying to shove it away. I know I should be able to. Despite being my size, these dolls were light, with hollow interiors so kids can carry them around. But this one, even though I can't feel its weight on my body, this one was pushing down on my neck, and after a few minutes of struggling, I managed to shove it off. I bolted out of the master bedroom and stopped at the landing. The brown haired doll was there, and I could hear the stroller wheels creaking as it slowly approached me. Its arms, previously at its sides, slowly came up to reach for me. Its green eyes rolled up slowly, and I swear those eyes focused on me. It was coming towards me, and I dove down the stairs before it could block my exit. I don't clearly remember what happened next, except that I was crying and had gone over to the neighbor's house. They didn't believe me, as far as I know, but I thankfully have little memories of being teased about it. I finished my story, a little unnerved by the memory. My mom was surprisingly quiet, and she looked confused. I know she had been attentive the entire duration of the story, nodding along and all that, but she did seem very confused. I gave her a while to think before I asked her why she was confused. She gave me a look. I remember the brown haired doll. I bought that for you. I know. You didn't like it and you never played with it. Yeah. And at this point, I wasn't sure what she was getting at. For a brief moment, I thought this was going to be another one of her "why aren't you like girls your age" spiel, but to my surprise, she just gave me a worried look. I never bought you a blonde doll.
All
Hmm.
right, you know what? I'm gonna pull a Seth. So, I've heard this trope before, and it's kind of repetitive. So,
Not really. This
it's
is more of just
gonna.
appeasing to people that are scared to shit out of dolls.
It's just
I
appeasing
personally am
to
not, so
skips.
it didn't like it was nice to read, but it didn't appease to my horror because I'm not afraid of dolls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
see,
wasn't repetitive.
no, I'm just
This
calling
is
you out
fine.
on your inability to do proper literacy analysis.
I
Like
can do
for
pretty
people
well.
that are scared the shit out of dolls, I think this would be definitely good.
Oh yeah, I mean, dolls can creep me out, but doll stories don't usually creep me out. I mean, there have been a few that have been like, ooh.
In all honesty, I was expecting a twist or some shit like that. Like I never bought you the doll. but it mainly just ended up being I never bought you a blonde doll. So it leaves an open-ended question.
Yeah. Doesn't tell you how the doll got there.
I liked it though.
Yeah, I think I might give it 7 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10?
Yes.
Why so low?
Why?
You gotta give a reason why
I
so
like
low.
how you say because.
Well, okay, if you want a real reason, I've heard the story so many times of why I'm scared of something. Well, it's because so-and-so gave me a frightening experience. I've heard the same thing with why I'm scared of closets, why I'm scared of my Nintendo 64, why I'm scared of porn. It's so repetitive that I've already read this 8 times before, and of course it always ends with a twist. So I really just wasn't pleased by the story, and I kind of was bored while listening to it because I've already heard it all before. It's the same thing. Oh, this doll was
Well, because that's
spooky.
normally how we get scared of things. Is kind of just the same shit happening.
Which
But
is not the
it
way
actually
I enjoy
happens.
my horror. There is horror out there that is way better
Well,
for
because
its own reason.
normally most of these stories on here are written just for an audience and never really
A
happens.
weak
Some of
audience.
these are probably real stories.
I bet Seth is scared like a baby, aren't you?
No. I will ask though.
I
So
personally give it
you're
a 7, mainly because it only focuses so small on a population audience, but it
yeah.
was still a experience. So
Okay, Marcus.
Yes.
So your personal opinions towards this makes you give it a 3. In
Yes.
terms of people that can be directed towards this kind of
Okay,
story,
if I was reading it as someone who is newly reading this,
how do you think it would be? Like in terms of actual writing, like
give me a
it's
second. I
just,
gotta speed read it.
in all honesty, it's kind of just a short little thing.
It's a
to
short
say,
little
you know?
ditty. It would
I mean, it's not.
probably, if I don't, oh, I don't. If I was reading it for the first time and I didn't have like the horror stereotypes already memorized, then I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10 because of it's still playing into the whole creepy doll idea,
Yeah.
which even
Yeah.
not even in media is something like not even in like r/no sleep or scary stories. It's just something that's been overplayed. Like, you know, we have Chucky, we have fucking
Yeah.
Annabelle, we have so much shite. So it's
Yeah.
still got a low rating for me. But for my personal opinion, which is what I'm going off of because I'm the judge here and I own this channel, it has a
Okay.
3. So what's the average? Editor,
I
put
don't
it
know.
right there.
Well, it's either 7 or
What did you
what would it
say?
be?
Yeah, Cabot, or what did you two say?
I
Me?
said 7.
7?
Yeah. We both said 7.
7
7.
and 3, so it's about a 5.
5.6, so
Yeah.
5.5.
All right,
Or 7.
editor, put it right
Like
there.
depending on which
Woo!
of the um ratings you want to use.
All right, final one. He was
What's
living inside
our
my
time
house.
at?
Our time, none of your business, bitch.
Kind of is.
No, it's not.
because
Cause what? You're gonna
either never look for a roommate or the figure creeps.
uh
This one's decent. What
well,
about
No, I've
never
got
look
a
for a roommate is really long.
I've got a
is it?
no, I've got a short one for Seth. It's in
All
general
right,
picks,
this will
so
be the
both of
last
you
one.
guys can look at.
This will be the last one.
This will be the last one. This is the coup de grace. I think it
It's
has
called-
currently 0 upvotes. Can't tell.
It has 4 upvotes.
My God.
Yes.
All right, so this one, and this was handpicked by Marcus, not by I, so don't crap on me for this one.
Shut the fuck
It
up.
was called He Was Living Inside My House. You may have not heard this on the news, but this happened. I'm still shaken up by the ordeal, and I'm a lot more paranoid after what happened. What happened was not supernatural, but it was just as frightening. I live in a small house in an urban environment, and the crime rate is pretty high here. My house is 2 stories tall, and it has a basement and a small attic. I work in an office building that's a 5-minute walk away from a 5-minute walk from my house. So to save gas and money, I usually walk or ride my bike to and from work. Now, on one particular night, I was walking home from work when I spotted a man following me. He was 6'2", and he had long black hair. He had a crazed look in his eye, and he kept staring at me. I shuddered and walked a little bit faster. During my walk home, I could occasionally see him following and staring at me. So I picked up the pace and ran the rest of the way home. A couple of minutes later, I was at my house and I found my door unlocked. I started to worry as someone could have broken into my house. I looked around and thankfully nothing was missing. I prepared dinner for myself and I turned on my TV and sat down to eat. I almost dropped my fork when I heard a quiet munching sound. I paused the show as I was watching and listened carefully. And after almost 2 minutes of me sitting down and listening, I heard another noise. It sounded like some kind of animal was chewing on something, and it seemed to be coming from above me. I stupidly ignored it, thinking it was a rat or something. It turns out I was wrong. Very wrong. I would occasionally hear tapping or rustling. A few weeks later, a severe storm hit my area and I had some leaks in my roof, so I decided to go into my attic and see how bad the damage was. I've only been to my attic once, and that was to store my old stuff I didn't really need. It's not that big, maybe the size of a large living room. It's also dusty, and there are about 1 billion spiders there. I grabbed a flashlight and opened the attic trapdoor, getting hit by a cloud of dust. I went into the attic and looked around. Nothing was really out of the ordinary aside from a few leaks in the roof and here and there. I walked over to a leak in the roof and discovered something nerve-wracking and horrifying. Behind a couch, there was a large steak knife on the floor and a bunch of writing on the walls. There was also lots of food wrappers and old clothing everywhere. Someone was here, I thought. I need to get out of here. I climbed down the attic ladder, but something pulled on my leg, and I fell off the ladder and crashed onto the floor. I looked up and saw the man I had seen a couple of days ago while I was walking home from work. He smiled and pulled his hand out of his pocket to reveal a large pocket knife. Panic swelled in me. It was either fight or flight. I chose both. He slashed the blade in my direction, but he missed, and I punched him in the face. Then I ran outside as fast as I could. I went to my neighbor's house. The man followed me, and my neighbor dialed 911. The man kept banging on the door, but luckily the police arrived shortly. The man was arrested, and the police investigated the whole incident. Turns out, the man was a homeless psychopath, and he had secretly been living in my attic for a couple of weeks. Even though the police questioned him, they never found out what his intentions with me were, and honestly, I don't want to find out. Hmm.
Nice.
So spooky.
Yes. And I think this is a real story. I can believe it.
Yes, it's a real story because if you go to Google and type in "man in my
There's been plenty of times.
attic,"
There's been
enter.
there's been plenty of incidents where people have lived in attics.
Hundreds
Isn't there
of
a fucking movie coming
stories.
out soon that's about that?
Yeah, it's called "Man in the Attic" 1953 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I
No,
think the fact
I
that this
mean
is
recent.
real.
Oh,
I
their
think the
most
fact
recent
that
one
this is
was
real.
2018.
I think the fact that this is real just makes it
There's a lot of
a lot
incidences
scarier.
where people are living in attics.
Yeah, I think the fact that this is real makes it a lot scarier. If this was just fiction, I would be like, 4. Because like it's just like okay, but the fact that this actually happened immediately makes it
Like these happen
much
a lot.
scarier. Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
it's an
that's why I'm
unnerving
not
thought.
too spooked about it.
I will never have an attic.
We had something worse than an attic. So we had a small door that would open up into a small kind of cave. And in that cave, all it was just dust and stuffed animals, and we didn't know where they came from or why they were there.
Mm.
And we never touched it. We never cleaned the attic out. I think it's still here to this day.
I don't like that. I really don't like that. I mean,
Yeah.
like in a novel, it doesn't bother me. In reality, it does. I mean, just like
These
have you
happen a
seen?
lot. You'd be
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah. I mean, like, have you seen that video of like,
And what's even
uh,
worse is we don't know the intentions of these people. Some people are doing it just because they don't have a thing. There's a movie I think that's really recent or is coming about that's about living in attics, and they do this challenge where they live in people's attics
Bro, what?
without them knowing, and they just do it as a challenge. But apparently this one house they were staying at, I forget what happened. I think it's a horror movie, I forget, but it's supposed to it's like really new or some shit. It's supposed to come out or whatever.
that's dumb.
Facebook
That's
is
really,
such a
really dumb.
great app.
Did
Okay.
you know when Dark Souls 2 was first released, console players died 150,000 times per hour? That's 42 deaths every single second.
That's 42 L's being given a second. Every second, 42 people take the L and slowly bring themselves closer to enlightenment. And with that in mind,
Enlightenment or
guys,
insanity?
if you like and subscribe and join the Discord we have for my
Hold
channel,
on.
what?
Before we finish, we gotta talk about the overall stories. What what was your guys' favorite and what was your guys' least favorite?
I personally like the Sack of Knives.
Stack of Knives.
Sack of Knives was really
Second
good.
guys?
Stack of Knives was interesting, actually had my attention, and wasn't repetitive like every other story I've read.
No, it wasn't. I think it's gotta be either Second Knives or the first one I read.
I feel kind of honored being the one reading that one. So I got really into reading it. I'm like, all right.
No, it was a
I
good
mean,
one.
like
I enjoyed it
at the
thoroughly.
beginning of it, like I was just kind of like fading in and out of like
I was
paying
getting
attention.
ready for the stereotype. Okay, these are gonna be teenagers that are gonna like find a random game to play during a party, and they all start dying. I mean,
Yeah, which is
technically
what
that
happened.
was the gist of what happened, but
It was the ending that sold it.
well, not really. It was actually like they took that gist and they kind of made it their own in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, well, like I mean, like they fleshed out. They actually gave a culture to it, and
Mhm.
like that ending,
I
and like
mean,
the
they gave
fact
a
that the
bit
professor was
background,
like,
like this dude's
no,
like taking a fucking medieval class. I don't know what class that could possibly be. And he's like, "Oh look, sacks and knives. Sounds interesting."
So
yeah, I
either way, my opinion.
okay. What was your least favorite?
Least favorite? Oh, probably the doll one.
In all honesty, it's either the doll one or the ice tub one.
I like the ice tub
Yeah,
one.
I'm gonna say that too.
I just thought the ice tub one was funny.
The ice tub one,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the ending
that's
where
why
it's
it's
like he
small.
gained extra organs.
This
I
dude
think
really
that's
just got
why
This
more
dude be
organs.
elevated.
I think that's why it's one of our least favorites because
There is a
we're reading
16-year-old
more.
dog
That was just
who collects
funny.
tips from a bar.
Bruh, I would give him
That's
I
adorable.
would give him all of my money.
I would give him all my money.
All of my assets.
Why do you think that money doesn't go to the dog?
All right, so we are bordering on an hour and 44 minutes on this one.
That's all right.
Holy.
I feel like I need to find more Sacks and Knives kinds of stories.
All right, guys. So, I'm gonna be on recess for the weekend, so you won't be seeing any videos. That's why these videos are posted pretty frequently together. I'll be back Monday. I'm gonna go out. I'm camping. I'm gonna go out exploring. I'm gonna go.
Fun because I can't do videos with you either, so
Yeah.
I'll be gone.
So Watermelon will hold down the channel. All right, Watermelon.
Oh God.
I want two
I
podcasts.
wouldn't
I
trust him
want
with
two
that. I want
podcasts
two-
by the time I'm back Sunday.
You want what?
2 podcasts recorded and edited properly with me and Cabbage in them.
It's like he has to start like talking like us, and he has just like
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm Cabbage and I'm in Coleg, and then it's like, oh, I'm Marcus. I got a stick up my ass. Ooh.
that would be a brilliant episode. Is where it's just like a parody.
It's just
episode.
one person fucking doing the whole podcast. I'm just like, hi guys.
That'd be a really cool parody episode.
I'm just like, guys,
Or I could just
hi.
go through
I'm
your-
joined with
your-
Cabbage and Broccoli. Say hi, Cabbage and Broccoli. Hi, I'm Broccoli. Hi, I'm Cabbage. All right, so we're gonna be starting today. Cabbage, you got anything to say? Not really, because I'm in college. I have something to say. Well, no one likes you, Watermelon.
That'd be a really cool episode. I'm just saying.
It's going in the notes.
Going in the notes. All right. Bye bye. Have fun, guys.
Wait, like and
I don't know if you
subscribe,
already
everybody.
stopped
Leave a comment. Hit up my other channel in Discord. If
Hold
you want to
on.
know why I call people Watermelon and Cabbage, you should join the Discord. Your PP will get larger if you join the Discord. Am I right,
Bro,
Cabbage?
what is this classroom picture you have?
College educated. He says the PP will get bigger if you like the video. All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, wait,
Subscribe.
hold on. Squarity, where can we find
What?
you on the internet? Where can we find you?
I haven't leaked your channel.
Discord. Join the Discord. And
Yeah,
you can
work.
talk to me.
Yeah, if you want to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, Cabbage, or if you want to talk to me, better off. That's even better if you want to talk to me.
Is that really better though?
Yes, it is better.
That's
Do
a
you have, like,
question.
an
That's a question.
Instagram
Let's
or
take.
I am the
Twitter?
most. I'm the most interesting man in the world. Okay, listen here. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and
I'm
subscribe.
the most interesting man
Bye-bye.
in the world.